So literally, the plan, I think, according to the roadmap, is there's all these host bodies now all around the world.
Oh.
And eventually, CERN is going to rip a hole through this reality into the spirit world. These things are going to pour through, and there's going to be these bodies waiting. When a Nephilim dies, right, and you'll find this in the Book of Enoch, their spirits can't go anywhere. Their spirits are stuck here on earth, and they become the evil spirits, the demons, the nature spirits, the genies, the jinn, we've got so many names for these things, these disembodied spirits, yeah? But it says that the spirits of the Nephilim become these evil spirits. And in the days of Noah, what they were trying to do was create host bodies for these Nephilim spirits. So what they would do was create half human, half animal hybrids, yeah, which wouldn't have a soul because they were created, right? So that these Nephilim spirits can inhabit and become incarnate again. Okay. Oh. Now, this process has been going on ever since, right? This idea of alien abduction, yeah, that is, you'll notice. Oh yeah, going back to the question that was asked. Yeah, mermaids are an example of that. The Minotaur,
Sasquatch,
centaurs, satyrs, all these half human, half animals, right? Of mythology. They're not mythology in the Greek culture. That's history, not mythology. Yeah. So these things actually existed, and we'd know it because their bones have been discovered, but they've been squirreled away by the Vatican or the museums. Yeah, they take these bones and they lose them. Yeah. So that process of creating host bodies has continued, and so the alien abduction phenomenon. Well, people might notice that these experiments they do are all about reproduction. They're all about women getting abducted and coming back being pregnant, and then being abducted again and the child's gone, and things like that. It's all about reproduction because it's part of this process to try and build the perfect host body for these Nephilim spirits. And the cloning thing, right? Well, again, I think was it Guy basically must have spoken about it, but he probably said about Benjamin Franklin, who wrote in 1751 that the only white people in the world, right, were the ones in Saxony, in Germany, in England, right, just England, not Scotland and Wales and Ireland, and in the newcomers in America, okay. And they were the only white people. When he says white people, he's talking about the Nephilim. That's it, because they were the only white people. This otherworldly, hybrid species who only marry within themselves to keep that bloodline alive. Yeah.
Wow.
So this cloning event, right, was essentially to almost muddy the waters, right? You can't get to the Zionists, right, without going through the Jewish people, right? It's like they've surrounded themselves as massive people, so that if you try and get to them, you have to go through these people first.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have this cloning event, which literally created millions of people that were spread out all over the world, and there wasn't a single black clone. There wasn't a single black orphan child that was moved around. Yeah, it was literally they were trying to, and part of it was to start the effort to create the perfect created host body. Because I mentioned about Hitler doing this. So he was trying to create this perfect host body for the Nephilim, right? When the war ended, we've heard of Operation Paperclip, where they took the Nazi scientists, the rocketry guys, the military intelligence guys, and all that to America. But what's not really known is that there was another Operation of Surrogacy, something like that. I'm not Russian, I can't pronounce it, where they took 7,000 Nazi scientists to Russia. I believe they took the eugenicists over to Russia. Okay. Guess where they took them in Russia? Any idea?
No, where?
There's a place you've been hearing quite a lot of lately, Ukraine.
Wow. Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
So you've heard that Ukraine is full of neo-Nazis. Well, no, it's the actual Nazis, because that's where they went. Yeah?
Wow.
So I believe they continued the Lebensborn, the Nephilim breeding program in Ukraine, because it's funny. During this time where there were the orphan children, right, there were thousands of orphanages, right, across the Western world, right. Today, there are 0 orphanages in the UK, 0 in America, 0 in Canada, 0 in Australia. There's one place when just me, I looked for and I found 750 orphanages. Now, that was just me looking for them. I managed to find 750 of them. Okay. Do you want to guess where in the world that there's all these orphanages?
Russia?
Ukraine.
Ukraine, yeah.
All right. Now, there was a
Wow,
war.
700.
Sorry, 750. But that was
It's
just me
Ukraine.
looking. There was going to be more. There's going to be more out there, but I found 750 of them. Right. Ukraine is a baby producing capital of the world. If you want surrogate mothers, yeah, they're in Ukraine. If you want, IVF or whatever, it's centered in Ukraine. This is where babies are produced. All the child trafficking is out of Ukraine, yeah, because they're producing babies, yeah. The war, underneath the war, there was a second narrative that was playing while the war was going on, right? And that was Ukrainian orphans needing homes in the West, right? And millions of them, right? I think there was like 1.1 million went to Hungary alone. Ireland said initially they were going to take 300,000, but then they said, "Oh, we're going to take unlimited numbers."
Wow.
Canada said unlimited numbers. America said unlimited numbers. The UK didn't say anything, but you can guess they were just taking unlimited numbers. Yeah. So I believe, as I said, they continued that process of creating the perfect host body. And now that they've done so, they've used this idea of the Ukraine war to literally position all these essentially sleeper agents, Nephilim host bodies around the world, so that, let's say there's an event that will happen where a veil will be torn open, a pit will be opened up, and all these Nephilim spirits will be able to pour through and find millions of host bodies just waiting for them. Okay.
Oh my God.
And again, this is in the New Testament, where it talks about was it the pit? Was it the? Well, I think I could describe it. Gone out of my head. But there's a pit, right, where Abaddon or Apollyon will be opened, and all these spirits will come out. Right. It's in the New Testament. Again, it's coded instructions.
Wow! Wow!
Right?
Wow!
Now, again, we get our technology from the Nephilim, right? And they were imprisoned for 70 generations. Okay. Now, depending on how long a generation is, you might think it is. It could mean that they were released either somewhere between the 1700s and the early 1900s. Whatever it was, it coincides with the explosion of technology that we happen to have gone through, right? It's not us it's coming from, it's from them. Just like in the film Contact, where, the aliens, right? The aliens of the Nephilim, remember? The aliens sent a message to Earth, and in that message was instructions on how to build the most expensive machine in human history, right? Well, we got the instructions on how to build the most expensive machine in human history, which was CERN. Right? Now, where CERN is, okay, now I've got a video on my channel about it. It tells you that CERN is built around two places. One is the Temple of Apollyon, right? So the book says the pits will be opened and Apollyon, the destroyer, is going to come out. Well, what's the betting that the odds that CERN, which they say is about opening portals now, right, will be built around the Temple of Apollyon, which is where the pit is, which when opened, all these spirits are going to pour through. The other place that CERN is built around is the seat of Satan. Okay, if you go and look in again Revelations, it says Satan's seat is where somebody called Antipas was put to death. Okay, so just as out of interest, I thought, let me see where Antipas was put to death. And I was surprised to find that yes, there was somebody called Antipas, and he was put to death in Geneva in Switzerland. And this CERN is built around Geneva in France, right? So literally the plan, I think, according to the roadmap, is there's all these host bodies now all around the world. And eventually CERN is going to rip a hole through this reality into the spirit world. These things are going to pour through, and there's going to be these bodies waiting. Now, one thing I didn't mention is the second narrative under the Gulf War. Right? Do you remember the Gulf War?